about the reaction. If you recall what I did last year as the budget chair, I ruffled more than a few feathers last year on that side of the street. But I did my job and my fiduciary responsibility this side of the street. And so while I have grave reservations about the measure that is currently in its present form, I really do want to offer, as Councilmember Cachola has so graciously offered Councilmember Berg, our colleague, to bring this issue again to the leadership in the House and the Senate. And while it might be too late to act officially this session, Councilmember Berg has reminded us and reminded the people across the street that this is still an issue that we need to deal with, and will not go away. And we will bring it to their attention, if not today, if not next week, certainly next year, and hopefully with the help of the administration in a joint communique that they should take this up in the next session. Thank you very much, members.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. Further discussion, members, before we go to Mr. Berg? No? Okay. Councilmember Berg.
Thank you for that. First, apologies to colleagues if my adjectives, they're a little over the top, I admit. So you're right on point on that. I was speaking on my own behalf, so for the record in the minutes, nobody else is attached to my adjectives. You're all your own individual council representation. I chose to take this action because in 2007, there was a $700 million plus surplus. So when bad times, don't do anything. As the clock ticks, you have $16 million a year being fleeced. Those are my words. Back in 2007, when there was a $700 million surplus and the tax collection had started, nobody did anything. This council did nothing. When the money was there, when the timing was right, the opportunity was golden. So my passion is so deep on this. I even voted no on the confirmation of Wayne Yoshioka to make that statement. I admire the man. I supported him in committee. And I wanted to make a stand because the people of District 1, from Eva to Makaha, want to know why government coddles, condones, enables, and makes excuses for bad behavior. We all know that 10% is unjust and unwarranted. It's a given. No one here says they disagree with that. That's why we're nonpartisan in this seat. We have no allegiance to Republicans and Democrats alike. We have allegiance to the taxpayer. And the taxpayer has said, you only are to retain the amount of which you need to process the tax, and the vehicle of which this resolution advances gives them the playbook. The state legislature has been given a playbook. They have session today and session tomorrow to pull a committee on the floor. They need 17 votes out of committee of finance committee. They just need 17 votes. If we can find 26 over there that want to do and act in good faith, we could actually have $16 million in our coffers. And in the biennium budget over there, it's $32 million. I found the money, by the way. I found the money. So there is a mechanism, there is an availability, there is an opportunity, and there's good cause of action to table this, and I respect that. And I appreciate everybody giving me kind words, because, to piss them off over there, that wasn't my intention. My intention all along in this, Chair and members, was to call out an injustice, to call out what's not fair play. If we coddle and condone the behavior of 76 legislators that they knowingly know they're profiteering off a tax scheme, I have mentioned it just yesterday and the day before. Why aren't you charging more? Certain departments process licensing fees, and the response was, we can't make a profit. I brought up and opened up today, for some of you that came late, the state tasked the city to collect impact fees in the Eva Plain for 6 roadway projects. The city says, I only need 2% to process the tax. They didn't say I need 10. The city played fair. That's all I'm asking for here. Fair play. When we knowingly know as members the state only needs at most 3%, it's a given, and they're taking 10, you could say, well, I don't like your adjectives. Well, the timing's not right. So let me regress. When there was a $700 million surplus, nobody raised a finger. I am speaking on behalf of District 1, who can't take it anymore, and enough is enough. So if you want to ask me to retract, table, I can't let down 45,000 people on the Leeward Coast. All the voters in 2008 that want this rail to come. Go, rail, go. Bring it on. They're pissed. They're the ones who are pissed. I go on, Chair, but we have a very detailed, intense budget cycle of which Chair Martin needs his time. And this was not to be a symbolic gesture or a measure of goodwill and act in good faith, but call them out for the very reasons that we're elected. That's why I was elected, to call them out. So if you guys want to fold your hand, I gave you an ace in the hole. They're not going to touch that TAT. No way. Ace in the hole. Senate Bill 1426 is the vehicle. They're going to take the $200 million. No, it's not a party to their schemata, their budget process. They're not going to need the $200 million of our rail tax money. To respond to having to have a public hearing because the bill crossed the Senate to the House by pulling it and making it a floor action, they're merely gutting, replacing, and making an amendment. Then it goes to conference committee. There'll be a hearing. So due process, fair play. I can't wait to put an end to the $16 million fleecing and the profiteering off a rail tax. That was never the intent of Act 247 in 2005, House Bill 1309 CD1. It was never the intention. When Governor Lingle brokered this deal with Mayor Hanneman says, we don't have the means set up to do this. Just like the state doesn't have the means to collect an impact fee. The city does property taxes. So when the city took it upon themselves to collect the 2% administrative fee, to collect the impact fee on all the development out on the other plane, the city said, why don't we contemplate taking 10%? I'd be after this body too if they did that. For fair play. And so I want to thank everybody. I'm very passionate. I want to thank everybody for understanding my passion, because I'm feeling 45,000 people behind me just from District 1 pushing me at this microphone right now. I feel them. I'm not going to give up on them. Thank you, Chair. Members.
Thank you, Councilmember Berg, and I feel that the people of District 1 appreciate the fact that you're taking this matter for our consideration. Further discussion among the members? Okay. If there is no other motion than the motion that is before us, I will call. There will be a vote. Okay? Okay. I'm sorry. Councilmember Anderson.
We're gonna take a vote to pass the measure.
I don't hear any motion, sir. Yeah. There's no other motion other than calling for the motion that's already on the floor. There's no other. Councilmember Chang?
Mr. Chair, if you'll entertain a motion to table this measure.
Before I act on that and call for a second, as I understand it, when you table the motion, it will be brought up in the next floor session, which is next Wednesday. As I said, this doesn't go away just by simply tabling the motion. Am I correct? Am I correct? Next week, Wednesday, we bring this up again. If you folks want to have this argument over again next week, Wednesday, you're welcome to it. Do I hear a second to tabling the motion so we can be heard next Wednesday? Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Discussion about tabling the motion till next week, Wednesday. Councilmember Chang.
Mr. Chair, the meeting for the full council meeting, the agenda rather for the full council meeting on Wednesday has not yet been posted, and so
I can still post it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So we're not, we don't know what will be on. I mean, whether or not we table this measure today, it may or may not appear on the agenda next Wednesday. Is that correct?
If the motion succeeds, it will be moved to Wednesday and it will be on the agenda. If this motion succeeds, I'll see to it.
I see. And was that why, Mr. Chair, you would rather vote up or down on the measure itself?
Well, speaking for myself, I think you already heard what I said. We will go through this again next week, Wednesday. It's up to the individual member to decide for himself or herself if he or she wants to take this up again on Wednesday, if this motion succeeds. Are you done?
I see. Okay. In that case, Mr. Chair, I'd like to withdraw my motion.
And I will withdraw my second.
Okay. We still have the motion before us on whether to adopt Resolution 11-91 CD1. Any further motions? Councilmember Anderson.
Discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Further discussion. Yes, sir, since you've not been heard yet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am in support of moving the resolution forward. I've listened to what everyone has said here this morning in regards to different press releases that have gone out, in regards to different statements that have been made in the media. But, ladies and gentlemen, I would point out that what we're voting on today is not a media article. It's not a press release. It's Resolution 11-91 CD1, which the introducer has even toned down a bit from its original version. I would also like to state with all due respect to our friends across the street, they need to do what they need to do over there. All of us, the 9 of us, need to do what we were elected to do over here. I've never served in the legislature, Chairman, but I'm very familiar with their processes. I was practically raised at the state capitol. My grandfather spent 20 years in the legislature over there. I spent years there as a staff member myself. I'm very familiar with their processes. But nonetheless, Mr. Chairman, I was elected by the residents of City Council District 3 to do a job. I was elected by the residents of City Council District 3 to protect the fiduciary responsibilities of the taxpayer, the City and County of Honolulu. Mr. Chairman, the fact of the matter is, retaining 10% of the surcharge, this is not right. It just is not right. And if we're going to move this mass transit project forward in the best interests of the taxpayers who we were represented to elect, I feel that this is something that we should move forward. I think it's fair. I don't believe that the resolution in and of itself is inflammatory. It's 2 pieces of paper that express the wishes of this body to the state legislature, and they can do as they please once it arrives there, should we pass it out. So for those reasons, Mr. Chairman, I do support moving this forward today. Thank you very much for allowing my comments.
Anderson. Further discussion? I guess Councilmember Kobayashi.
Thank you. I'll make this brief. I'm torn about this whole subject because I support what Councilmember Tom Berg